Hello and welcome to the Edupedia World. Well, in this tutorial, we study about list and particularly array list. So this is part 3 of list. Okay. So here, let's do an example of array list implementation. If even you are not having, just create a collection source folder and create a collection package. In that, currently I'm already having this collection example. So this collection example that I have already created is nothing but it's just containing a class which is my self-defined class collection example, and it actually contains the collection interface that is already defined in Java, but I have kind of defined it just to show you. It's all methods are there in a collection interface, like size is empty, contains, iterator, to array to convert it into a array, then boolean and. Now let's do example of array list. So I'm going to just right click on my package and I'm going to create a new class over here. So the class that I'm creating over here is like I'm creating array list demo. Fine. In this class, now let me also firstly create a main method. Now let's create a array list. Okay. So we have seen array list can be created three types. Okay. I'm actually creating a generalized array list which can take up strings. So I'm giving the name as a list. So this is how we actually create a array list. So this is a simple array list. Fine. And we have to over here also define it generalized on both ends. Now it will ask me to import the ArrayList class of Java util package. So if I do that, the error will be gone and my ArrayList is created. So this is a simple ArrayList. The other way is to pass a collection. And the third way is to actually pass the initial capacity. So I can even pass the initial capacity. Let me pass initial capacity as 20. This is perfectly fine. Okay. If I don't pass the initial capacity, then also this will work fine. Now let's see some of the methods of array list. Now even if you don't remember all the methods and you're using a particular IDE like Eclipse, then the Eclipse IDE will automatically give you some of the suggestion of the methods that you want to actually use so that you can actually see. So you can see over here we are having some of a methods known as add. So let me call this method as add and let me add a string and let me give it a name as first. Okay. Now let me try another method which is again add, but actually I'll add with the index. So the index that I'm giving is 0 and the element name that I'm giving is second. Okay. Now let's try to call another method. This time I'll call the size method to check what is the size of array. And since size of array will, return me a integer, I would like to print it over here. So let's print the array list size and see. So if I just run this program, so I'll get output. So you see the array list size is 2. Okay. Now let me try to do some other thing. Now let me try to do a get. So if I do get and if I pass 1, so it will actually give me what will be on the first index. I have to actually print it because it's actually giving me a string. So I have to print that string to actually see. So you see it's printing first. Okay. Why so first? Because on 0th index I have actually placed second. So the element that I placed on first index will automatically move on 1. Okay. Now let's see what if we, just try to print something on the 4th position and I haven't actually inserted anything on the 4th position. So in that say you can see it is giving me index out of bound exception. Fine. So that means you should be careful about the range of your array. Fine. Now this was about adding, this was about making a size. And now let's try to run contains method to see if this actually contains a particular element or not. Let me try to add 3 over here and see if it contains 3. This exception is because of this. Let me comment out the size. Now you see it hasn't printed actually anything because I am actually not printing the output. So let me print the output so that you can see whether it contains 3 or not and whether it prints true or false. So you can see it's printing false, which is perfectly as expected. Then whenever you try to insert the 11th element, it actually doubles its capacity, because once its capacity has reached the maximum to it, then it actually not doubles, it actually increases its capacity up to 50%. So if the initial capacity is 10, then it will increase to 5 more in initial capacity, and now the capacity will become 15. For that I have to actually create a array. So see, I have actually declared an array. Now if I just call on a list to array, okay, so actually I've changed the type to object, but I can also put it as string if I'm completely aware, and then I have to actually cast it to string. Okay, so if I just cast this array list to string, then it won't give me any error. Fine. So one thing is that, and other thing is there is also this to array which is also taking up a array of a t type, and it is actually taking array list which is saying 79%. So what this actually says that it says return an array containing all the elements in the list in a proper sequence. The runtime type of returned array is that of a specified array. Okay, so whatever we have actually specified, it will be of that array. If the list fits in specified array, it is returned therein. Otherwise, a new array is allocated with the runtime type of a specified array and size of list. Fine. So this is another implementation, but let's go with the simpler one and let's cast it to a string array. And then let's try to print this array. Since I currently know that, in this array I'm only having two objects, so rather, applying a for loop over here, let me just print the elements. So I hope so, that is absolutely fine. I'm just doing for the sake of simplicity. Otherwise, to print the whole array, you should use the loop. So you see, I got a class cast exception. And why so? Well, the exception says, so the exception says java.rank.object cannot be cast to java.rank.string. Yes, that's true. So rather what we should do is we should change it to object, because return type of to array is actually a object array. So if I do that, now what I can do is I can now try to print it out. So if I print it out, it will give me the correct elements. Okay, this is how it is done. Fine. So this was about a small array list implementation. There is also one more class which is a linked list, which linked list is another implementation. So I'm going to create a linked list demo class, and then let me add public static void main. Now let me define a linked list. Again, I'm defining it of a string type for the simplicity. So now you can see we have used add all method. Add all is actually inserting a array list inside a linked list. So this is something you can do. I have created a linked list, I have created an array list, and I have inserted an array list into a linked list. Fine. After that, let's try some new methods of linked list. Firstly, let me try is empty, although is empty is present in array list also. But let me try it over here. So you see it's giving false because it's not empty. So I have written two more methods, which is peek and pool, and let's run our code for these methods. So if I run our code, you can see the peek is giving us 1 and the pool is also giving us 1. Where the output that both of these will give you will be same. Why? Because peek and pool both retrieves the head, that is the first element, but peek do not remove it, whereas pool do remove it. So now if I just, after running it, if I just try to run it again, okay? So you see I have written the statements again. So if I just do it again, you can see that the second answer I'm getting is 2. Why 2? Because when we did pool over here, so pool actually removed the first element, that was 1, and thus by doing peek we are actually getting 2 because this has been removed by pool. Okay. So that's the reason how peek and pool works. I hope so you have got. You can try some of the more methods of linked list yourself. Fine. This was a basic thing, but you need to also understand some of the differences between array list, linked list, and vectors. So thank you guys for attending this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we concentrate on even the differences between array list, linked list, and vectors. So thank you.